Tory Lanez, Wayne Brady, and primetime Deion Sanders. I'm Jay Cleveland Payne. Those three guys have not much in common except we're going to talk about them over the next course of the next 15, 20 minutes in things you might have heard. Here we present for you the best in yesterday's information, politics, current events, and pop culture. And it's the best because literally you said it was the best. We at the Conversation Project and for this thing here are your go-to supplemental source for both news that's mainstream, the big stuff, and unconventional news, things that are kind of outside in lanes. We give you a little extra context to all of those and from various sources that offer up debate that you might not have a normal chance to get. My name is Jay Cleveland Payne, and as the teaser graphic goes, yes, we got some Tory Lanez to talk about today, plus 7 other news stories and a little bit of new stuff that we're not talking about. We'll explain that in a bit. Plus, we have the fun stuff at the end, so stick around for that. You'll love the fun stuff. If you're new to here, you'll love it. If you're not new to here, you've been here a few times, I know you love it. And we'll try to sell you something in between. I'm going to get to those stories right now that you vetted for us. We'll explain that process after we go through the headlines. Give us about 12, 13 minutes to get the headlines in there, and we'll tell you how that works out. Real quick reminder that our main website is conversationproject.com. Go there for more details about what we do every single day. So there's less of me chattering and more of me getting you new stuff, which technically is extra chatter. Today is Wednesday, August the 9th, 2023. Let's get into the headlines for this morning. At the top of the list, 4 warrants issued for brawl after brawl breaks out at Riverfront Park in Montgomery, Alabama. One person has already been arrested in this big brawl. Now, if you've not seen these videos that are all over social media, the memes and the quick pics that are out there, you are missing out on some really, really good entertainment. The problem is the underlying issue is really, really sad. So here's the basic story of what happened. It's a riverboat that travels in Montgomery, Alabama, that goes out and does a little tour, does some jazz music. People can hang out and see it. And then it comes back to the park to get people off. There's a dock for the riverboat that get people off of the boat so you can get on. A pontoon boat was parked on that dock, literally just one little boat on the dock, just people just hanging out there. And when the captains from the boat took a smaller boat, got to the dock and asked the folks to get off the dock. Then they got confrontational. It turned to a fight, literally like 5 guys jumping on one dude. And then it turned into a brawl of all sorts of sensation. It looked basically like a big old racial thing, mostly because it kind of was a big old racial thing when it all was said and done. 4 warrants were set out for people because, there's videos, there's stuff, they're easy to identify. And one person has been arrested so far in this. We'll see how this plays out going forward, as it's a sad, sad state for the nation that this happened, and just a sad state for people in common decency, to be honest. Let's get into Tory Lanez. Sentenced to 10 years in prison for shooting Megan Thee Stallion. Now, this incident happened years ago. This is a long-standing court case. But Megan, who testified that Lanez actually fired a gun at her feet and shot it for her to dance as they left the party, being stupid Canadian, I guess, and it ended up, hurting her in the process, got his sentencing yesterday. We expected it to happen the day before. It took a little longer as more people were sort of testifying, more people were sort of trying to speak out in defense of Mr. Lanez, and it did not work out. 10 years there. He's out on bail right now. We'll see how this works out after sentencing to go forward. But this is basically a culmination of a story that took way too long to come to fruition. A lot of it is because it was famous people involved. It took things to play out. In fact, one of the things that Megan Thee Stallion said was the fact that she's a victim of abuse and a survivor as well. And she happened to be lucky enough to have the resources to take this to court and speak out in public for things like this. Other folks who are not as lucky have to deal with this in sometimes very, very worse, very dire circumstances. A festival in July of 2021 finally resolving with this sentencing at the end of the year, or beginning of August here in 2023. Dave Portnoy buys Barstool Sports back for next to nothing. That's the headline that's sort of snarky in the Barstool Sports sort of vernacular, but it's the deal. From Business Insider, Dave Portnoy have become the full owner again of Barstool Sports. The blog, he founded back in 2003, so 10 years ago he started this. Penn Entertainment acquired a minority stake of Barstool and basically bought the whole thing out from Portnoy a long time ago, essentially breaking up and going on whatever. Well, Penn ended up trying to connect with ESPN, doing some bigger things, and then of course because Barstool Sports is actually Barstool Sports, the backlash came. Now, part of the problem was without Dave Portnoy and his sort of leadership and his sort of way to push things, the place wasn't what it used to be. It's lost its luster, it's lost its shine, and at this point, essentially, Penn had just wanted to get rid of it. So it sold back to Barstool. Barstool sold back to Portnoy back at the very, 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 very low price of low. And we'll see how he will do, what he will do to bring things back to some sort of shine for his blog at some point, now the brand that is Barstool Sports. It was at some point one of the larger sports brands out there pushing the envelope to even compete with an ESPN. Now it is a shell of itself as it is. Biden will announce historic Grand Canyon monument designation during his Arizona visit, happening yesterday. Joe Biden announced a new national monument on yesterday, preserving 1,526 square miles of just outside of Grand Canyon National Park. This is a designation to essentially save it from ourselves, because the land is very sacred to Native Americans. It's not exactly giving it back, it's making it a national park, but what it does is allow its protections from things like mining. So private people can't come in and buy it up and mine it for what looks like a pretty rich vein of uranium, which may be in the park. A lot of minerals in them lands, in them hills, and right now it's a race to sort of fight the capitalism part, which is not necessarily a bad thing, but with the heart part and the main reason why these things are happening. This is land that was inhabited by people well before the white folks showed up, and now they're trying to get some of it back and use it because they see it as sacred land. Notwithstanding the fact that there's lots of more minerals on them on the levels, which is what the nation is looking for, not so much the nation. The Interior Department enacted a 20-year moratorium on new mining claims around the national park in 2012, but the existing claims are starting to run out. So because of that, it's needing a little extra help to preserve those claims and keep the mining out. That's what Biden has done yesterday. Burger King is bringing out new line of chicken wraps, and this is more of a line of sort of poking your nose and poking a finger at McDonald's, who had a chicken wrap at one point in time and phased it out. McDonald's is, not essentially giving the people what they want, if you will, phasing out a lot of things that people liked, including like chicken, the chicken strips, which people loved, and various versions of the sandwiches, to go with things that seem like they're simpler and things that seem like they're more mature, but don't necessarily make it that way. Burger King is putting out these wraps for $2.99, coming out as a new delicious option that they can't get anywhere else because the other place to get them was McDonald's. WeWork has substantial doubt, that's in quotes, about continuing to operate. So WeWork is the biggest national consumer brand of working spaces. They make old spaces look nice and pretty and allow you to come in and co-op work in the place for a while, use their facilities, use their conference rooms, get some coffee on them, and rent your own space there. What's really amazing about that is how much of a detail in the behind the scenes it is to make this thing go, and how crazy it got where the CEO just thought he was, his own personal guru and god. CEOs, the husband and wife team behind this thing, and now essentially a whole lot of money to go into just fixing up warehouses and renting out space ain't working so much. The interim CEO says there's pretty much no way they're going to get back to anything that's really great to the way they worked, and pretty much WeWork as a company nationwide just can't operate at all. They were able to cut the debt by $1.5 billion over a couple of years of working down operating costs and making things work out. But that sounds like a lot of money for a bunch of warehouses and real estate rent, because it's a bit more complicated. Unfortunately, WeWork is a bit more complicated, and I'm going to rent this cubicle for so much money. Why it is, I don't know. I'm so obsessed with co-working space, to be honest. I'd like to open up one because I like to make more space for myself and have other people pay for it. You hear about all, the rent hacking, things like that. But in reality, it also means you have like 12 guys staying in a 3-bedroom apartment. That's kind of the way it really plays out. You may have saw this story if you watched our TikTok and YouTube feeds for the shorts we did out there. We did this early yesterday as the story more or less broke as I was working on yesterday's work, posted it, and was a little worried that it wasn't going to make it into the range. It did, so we were talking about it. Wayne Brady comes out as pansexual. I'm doing this for me. I ask you to go to our YouTube page and go to the Conversation Project YouTube page and click on the short for this, because I did a little short thing that basically explained the story. Wayne Brady is 51 years old. He's divorced, has a teenage daughter, and I don't know, I guess the weirder thing, or I guess the great thing about it is, those two people, his former wife and his daughter, are the most supportive about him coming out as pansexual, which means he is attracted to any sex, any gender. It doesn't really matter. He is attracted to both genders, both sexes. Whoever you are, whatever you are, he can be attracted to. Now, the sort of thing that made this interesting was the question of, why is Wayne Brady coming out as pansexual at this moment? Why is this a thing? Why is he doing it this way? He did it with an Instagram video. And the question remains. You can read the article that's in People magazine going deeper into Wayne Brady, who's basically finding himself in the article and what's going through. But it is one of those things where hate is not being sent by these folks. We love him right here. But after some hard times in his life, he's sort of coming into his own, if you will, trying to get stable. This is one of the things that is helping him get to some semblance of himself and whatever normal is for him. Finally, we talked about WeWork and people using places to go work by themselves. Zoom, which lets you work remotely wherever you are, is having some issues. But the big issue is not that Zoom is breaking down. It's doing fairly good as a company. It came to fruition and came to large light during the pandemic. Zoom wants its remote workers to come back to the office because Zoom fatigue is hitting Zoom. At least it is for the corporate overlords that run Zoom. And they want people not at their homes or in their villas or, traveling into the middle of the nowhere and doing Airbnb work. They want them back in the corporate office. They're not going to give up their WeWork offices. They want to pay their rent. So they want you there in the office. We'll see how this one plays out over the next couple of weeks, because a lot of folks that have tried to fight the powers that be on going back to work find they're actually winning these fights. As far as errors, omissions, and any apologies, the only thing we're not talking about today is the story we teased yesterday, and it's because it's literally right outside of range. We took the top 15 stories to present to you and pulled 8 of them out this morning. At number 16, it is Mike Pence qualifies for first GOP debate. So we're not going to talk about him very much, other than the fact that he has reached all the qualifications. He'll be on the debate stage, which is about 2 weeks. Right now, there are about 8 people qualified. Maybe 2 more may make it in there. They're close. But Mike Pence, after a very slow start and a very sort of boring campaign, now has the right to stand on stage against all the other nominees in the GOP, including Donald Trump, if he shows up. Our teaser story for today, we'll see if we're talking about this one come tomorrow, is a interesting one, if you will. How do the teaser stories work? Well, how does anything work around here? We let you be our boss. You go to our feeds on Facebook and Twitter. Facebook.com/this is a conversation project, and Twitter.com, or X.com, I should say, which is th_conversation, and let us know what we should be talking about. We post news stories about every 50 minutes, so you can engage with them. Various sources. This one's from USA Today. This one will probably not make it because it might not be good news or big time news by the time we get through today. 1.5 billion Mega Millions jackpot winning ticket sold in Florida. One ticket yesterday got the whole shebang. If this is something you want to talk about in further detail, go to the story as it posts. In fact, it's actually posted as I'm speaking live to you here in the morning at 6:04 at the very time this moment. So it's already there. Go check it out. Engage in it. Like it, love it, hate it, share it. The more engagement you give to it, the better chance we have to talk about it tomorrow. As we say, we'll pull the top 15 stories, and then we'll pull 8 of those into the greater narrative. If this one makes it in the range, I'm pretty sure it's going to get there unless something larger sort of outranks it in the mix. And like I say, always, you tell us what to talk about by literally telling us what to talk about. Follow us in the feeds, and you can take care of that. Our spotlight sponsor today is Resume Solution, and we want to talk about them because a lot of stuff has happened over the last couple of years. We are now, I guess, about a year removed from full pandemic life, so that's different. But the world has changed, work has changed, and maybe there's some residuals in where you're working that aren't working for you, or maybe you are working towards something and just gaining some momentum, and now is the time to basically make that shot because it was there anyway. But you want to make sure you have the right background. A good resume and a little help can get a long way. Go to Resume Solution and they will do a bunch for you. Number one, they'll look at your resume and they'll clean it up and get you something that is nice and crisp and ready to go. Number two, they offer coaching services and other programs to help you get yourself ready for that interview. They can basically guarantee you'll get more interviews. They can't guarantee you a job, but they can work it so that your resume and your CV and your presentation is so much better that more people will be more amenable to bring you in the door for those questionings. And then they'll help you get the best out of that as well. Check them out at thisisaconversationproject.com/resume solution. This is conversationproject.com/resume solution. Resume Solution and all of our sponsors we have here in our presenters are affiliate links. So if you buy from them, we get something back as a commission from them. So that's how we get paid around here. If you think Resume Solution is a great job for you, they will do great, or do a great fit for you. They'll do a great job for you, and it costs you nothing extra. It costs you a little time, a little effort, but we're glad for it because we can't do this without you. The Conversation Project lives online at thisisaconversationproject.com. When you get there, once you're there, you'll see archives of stuff we have done for this thing for many, many years. So you can see how far back we've been doing this and how poorly it's been done in various cases. And in some cases, how poorly we've been doing it lately, unfortunately. However, this thing is a work in progress, a growing project, and we are glad to have you along for the ride today. If you're watching this on the replay or listening to the audio, we're glad for that. If you're watching this live, just make sure you pop in and let us know where you're from, anywhere where you're from. And you want to help get things going, keep things going, we just told you, go to the feeds on Facebook and Twitter and vote for the stories. Engage in the stories. That's the biggest thing you can do. You can send us feedback via the conversation inbox at gmail.com for anything you want to. You can share the love, share the videos and the links with folks as well to get more people in the conversation. And a big ask we have is to go to our partnerships page and see there's a way that you want to be a part of us. Help us get things going. Hook up with us so we can do more things. We believe as your supplemental news source, the whole news side piece, if you will, we provide a great mix of news for people and fairly quickly when we don't get stuck in a ramble or stuck at getting things out there to folks going out there. That's why we have the two show concept. The first show is the news. The second show coming up in literally 30 seconds is the fun stuff, which if you stick around, it's always fun. So stop by our website, thisisaconversationproject.com. Visit us and see what we can do for you. Find more things about what we have going on, links to everything. And if partnership is something that sounds good for you, click on the link for partnerships. And now, as promised, it is time to have some fun. August the 9th is today, and we always start off on the fun stuff with birthdays. And birthdays for this day start off with Coach Deion Sanders, formerly known as Primetime Deion Sanders, the part-time football player, part-time baseball player, is now a football coach, now at Colorado, and of course, literally kicking off every member of the team to restart, reshuffle, and realign to a new conference. And he said the words out loud that people pretty much understand. It doesn't matter who you play. It doesn't matter who's playing for you. It matters where you're playing at and what's going for. So in that case, it's not so much where you play, who you play for, as in, what team it is. It's the old alignment system based on who's what and what rivalries and where you are. He doesn't care if he's going to play against Miami in the regular season. He's going to get a conference. He's going to make some money. He's going to put his team on the map. And Colorado is going to make some waves very soon. Colorado is going to make some waves, and then the next team he goes to is going to make some waves because this whole football thing is getting crazy. Football back in a few weeks, amazing. Gillian Anderson, the big G, if you will, 55 years old on the day. Oh, Deion's 56. Jillian is 55 years old today. Star of The X-Files and that really quirky show on Netflix where she plays a sex therapist and embarrasses her son about it. 55 years old on the day. My man, Chris Cuomo, 53 years old on the day. Life is going okay, I guess, for Chris Cuomo now. I am a frequent viewer of his show on a News Nation because I just kind of like him, and it's very quirky. Not so much the best news, I would say, and a lot of things they're doing are essentially salacious eyeball stuff, doing the caller stuff, bring on a Bill O'Reilly every night, stuff like that, is to basically make conversation. But I like the guy. I think he got kind of a bad rap from the thing with his brother, and just the way things got torn down at CNN, although CNN was a hot mess for a bunch of reasons, is there. My love for Chris Cuomo is enduring. Love you, guy. Doesn't know me, so it doesn't really matter. 53 years old on the day. Today in history lesson for the 9th of August 2023 goes back to 1936. At the Summer Olympic Games in Berlin, Germany, Jesse Owens won his 4th gold medal on this day, becoming the first American to win 4 medals in one Olympic Games, and of course, pissing off Adolf Hitler, which is always good until it's not, of course. In 1944, the United States Forest Service and the Wartime Advertising Council released posters featuring one Smokey Bear for the first time. Of course, those of you know the lore of Smokey Bear. A real bear found in a forest fire became a mascot of sorts, and then became a poster bear for all of us on preventing forest fires. And in 2012, more Olympic news. Usain Bolt became the first person to win the 100-meter and 200-meter sprint in back-to-back Olympics, the fastest guy in the world for quite some time. And one of the things I always bring up about Usain Bolt is the fact that we're proud here as Arkansans to claim a guy named Tyson Gay, who ran for the University of Arkansas and for a long time was essentially the fastest man in America. And the only problem about that was every time he ran a race in international competition, he ran against Usain Bolt. So it didn't matter if you're the fastest man in America, the fastest man in the world is always a few clicks ahead of you. So happy anniversary for Usain Bolt. We're going to celebrate Book Lovers Day today. We're calling out August 9th for Book Lovers Celebration Day or Book Lovers Day. So if you love books, today is your day. If you love a person who loves books, today is their day. Celebrate it by, buying a book. There's something. Or if they have too many books or they buy stuff electronic, don't know what they're buying, leave them alone to go read their book. The best thing you do for a book lover is buy them a book, buy them a beverage so they can sit while they read their book, and just leave them alone to read their book. I have a feeling that Christina McKay tonight will have a chance to just sit back and read a book, although I think we're behind on some TV, so maybe we'll postpone Book Lovers Day to Saturday. We'll preempt it with some other TV stuff. I think we got to watch some shoot 'em up, blow up stuff. She likes things that blow up, things like that. So if it's some movie we're behind on, we'll catch up on that and get Book Lovers Day in this weekend, I guess. And finally, one more thing you might not have heard, and one more thing you probably haven't heard because we had to say the same thing 3 days in a row. A small study by the CDC found that online therapy can be as effective as face-to-face. 3 months after the end of therapy, patients given online therapy treatments even displayed fewer symptoms. So if you're worried about, all the ads for BetterHelp, which we don't have as a sponsor, so you can go there if you want to. We don't get anything from them, or any other online therapy, or just going to your therapist on telehealth that's a local person and wondering, does it really work? Apparently, it's just as good. The whole issue, just like remote work and remote school, it's what you put into it and who you're engaging with. Some people works better, some people works worse. It's a matter of, can you stay engaged with the person? Can you actually have a conversation back and forth? And can you get past some of the cues that are relational, as in, yes, being in video is better than being over the phone because you have some visual cues, but there is still a bit of lag, a bit of thing going on, and just the sort of the way you feel a person in a room is a bit different. Talk therapy apparently does work, and online version apparently does work okay, just as well as the other version. But for some people, just one note, talk therapy isn't for everyone. Some people need things more deeper, and for some people, just talking out just doesn't happen. This doesn't work. What did work today was today's edition of Things You Might Have Heard. We hit all the buttons, got all the slides, and everything worked out okay. We're going to walk away, tiptoe away from the whole thing before anything goes wrong at this point. My name is Jay Cleveland Payne. I thank you so much for being with us for this program. Whether you watch me live in the morning at 5:50 a.m. Central Time, where we launched this on TikTok, not TikTok, on Twitter, X, on Facebook, on YouTube, or if you're watching this video in a replay or listening to the audio in a replay, thank you so much for joining us for the news. If the news that you wanted to hear didn't make the list because it's something that you engaged in that we didn't see, email me at theconversationinbox@gmail.com so we can chat about it and see what's in there. Like I said, sometimes stories just don't hit it. We didn't talk about Mike Pence. much because he wasn't in range, so he didn't get the worthiness of being in range. It's just how the rules go, how we made this thing work, how we can be a more or less fair source based on what you're telling us and just what the time allots and the rules allot us. Make sure you're staying limber and staying hydrated and staying on task for all the grand things you have going on. It is going to be a wild, rocky, stormy day in many places around the nation as I speak this, so be prepared for that. It's some places hot, some places it's wet, some places there are tornadoes. We're looking at tornado warnings, and I'm a little leery about those these days after surviving a tornado. So make sure you're safe where you are. The Hawaii right now has wildfires that are triggered by a hurricane. Doesn't make any sense. Weather is an issue. Stay safe, stay dry, stay warm, stay cool, stay wherever you need to do, and just stay with us. We're going to do this again tomorrow. New stories to get you through week 8. New stories that were, of course, vetted by you to tell you what stories are conversational. Let's take a break. Do it again tomorrow. Thank you.